You are if you want to stay at Hogwarts, said Hagrid fiercely. You have done wrong, and now you've got to pay for it. But this is servant stuff. It's not for students to do. I thought we'd be copying lines or something. If my father knew I was doing this, he'd tell ya that's how it is at Hogwarts, Hagrid growled. Copying lines. What good's that to anyone? You'll do somewhat useful or you'll get out. You think your father rather you were expelled than get back off to the castle and pack. Go on. Malfoy didn't move. He looked at Hagrid furiously, but then dropped his gaze. Right then, said Hagrid. Now listen carefully, because it's dangerous what we're going to do tonight, and I don't want no one taking risks. Follow me over here a moment. He led them to the very edge of the forest. Holding his lamp up high, he pointed down a narrow, winding earth track that disappeared into the thick black trees. A light breeze lifted their hair as they looked into the forest. Look there, said Hagrid. See that stuff shining on the ground? Silvery stuff? That's unicorn blood. There's a unicorn in there been hurt bad by something. This is the second time in a week. I found one dead last Wednesday. We're going to try and find the poor thing, and we might have to put it out of its misery. And what if whatever hurt the unicorn finds us first? Said Malfoy, unable to keep the fear out of his voice. There's nothing that lives in the forest that'll hurt you if you're with me or Fang, said Hagrid. And keep to the path. Right now, we're going to split off into two parties and follow the trail in different directions. There's blood all over the place. It must have been staggering around since last night, at least. I want Fang, said Malfoy, quickly looking at Fang's long teeth. All right, but I warn you, he's a coward, said Hagrid. So me, Harry, and Hermione will go one way with Draco. Neville and Fang go up the other. Now, if anyone finds a unicorn, we'll send up green sparks, right? Get your wands out and practice now. That's it. And if anyone gets into trouble, send up red sparks. And we'll come and find you, so be careful. Let's go. The forest was black and silent. A little way until they reached the fork in the path. Harry, Hermione, and Hagrid took the left path while Malfoy, Neville, and Fang took the right. They walked in silence, their eyes on the ground. Every now and then a ray of moonlight through the branches above lit a spot of silver-blue blood on the fallen leaves. Harry saw that Hagrid looked very worried. Could a werewolf be killing the unicorns? Harry asked. Not fast enough, said Hagrid. It's not easy to catch a unicorn. They're powerful magic creatures. I never knew one to be hurt before. They walked past a mossy tree stump. Harry could hear running water. There must be a stream somewhere close by. There were still spots of unicorn blood, and they were along the winding path. Are you all right, Hermione? Hagrid whispered. Don't worry. It can't have gone far if it's this badly hurt. Then we'll be able to... Get behind that tree! Hagrid seized Harry and Hermione and hoisted them off the path behind a towering oak. He pulled out an hour and fitted it into his crossbow, raising it ready to fire. The three of them listened. Something was slithering over dead leaves nearby. It sounded like a cloak trailing along the ground. Hagrid was squinting up the dark path, but after a few seconds the sound faded away. I knew it. There's someone in here that shouldn't be. A werewolf? Harry suggested. That wasn't no werewolf, and it wasn't no unicorn either, said Hagrid grimly. Right, follow me, but careful now. They walked more slowly, ears straining the faintest sound. Suddenly, in a clearing ahead, something definitely moved. Who's there? Show yourself. I'm armed. And into the clearing came. Was it a man or a horse? To the waist, a man with red hair and a beard, but below that was a horse's gleaming chestnut body with a long reddish tail. Harry and Hermione's jaws dropped. Oh, it's you, Ronan, said Hagrid in relief. How are you? He walked forward and shook the centaur's hand. Good evening to you, Hagrid, said Ronan. He had a deep, sorrowful voice. Were you going to shoot me? Can't be too careful, Ronan, said Hagrid, patting his crossbow. There's somewhat bad loose in this forest. This is Harry Potter and Hermione Granger, by the way, students up at the school. And this is Ronan, you two. He's a centaur. We've noticed, said Hermione faintly. Good evening, said Ronan. Students, are you? And do you learn much up at the school? A bit, said Hermione timidly. A bit. Well, that's something, Ronan sighed. He flung back his head and stared at the sky. Mars is bright tonight. Yeah, said Hagrid, glancing up too. Listen, I'm glad we've run into you, Ronan, because there's a unicorn been here. You seen anything? Ronan didn't answer immediately. He stared unblinkingly upward and then sighed again. Always the innocent are first victims, he said. So it has been for ages past. So it is now. Yeah, said Hagrid. Have you seen anything, Ronan? Anything unusual? Mars is bright tonight, Ronan repeated while Hagrid watched him impatiently. Unusually bright. Yeah, but I was meaning anything unusual a bit nearer home. So you haven't noticed anything strange? Yet again, Ronan took a while to answer. He said, The forest hides many secrets. Movement in the trees behind Ronan Made Hagrid raise his bow again, but it was only a second centaur, black-haired and bodied, a wilder looking than Ronan. "Hello, Bane," said Hagrid. "All right. Good evening, Hagrid. I hope you are well." "Well enough. Look, I've just been asking Ronan. You seen anything odd in here lately? There's a unicorn been injured. Would you know anything about it?" Bane walked over to stand next to Ronan. He looked skyward. "Mars is bright tonight," he said simply. "We've heard," said Hagrid grumpily. "Well, if either of you do see anything, let me know, won't you? We'll be off then." Harry and Hermione followed him out of the clearing, staring over their shoulders as Ronan and Bane until the trees blocked out of their view. "Never," said Hagrid irritably, try and get a straight answer out of a centaur. Ready stargazers, not interested in anything closer than the moon. "Are there many of them in here?" asked Hermione. "Oh, a fair few. Keep them themselves so mostly. But they're good enough about turning up if I ever want a word. They're deep mind centaurs. They know things. They just don't let on much." "Do you think there was a centaur we heard earlier?" said Harry. "Did that sound like hooves to you?" "Nah, if you ask me, that was what's been killing the unicorns. Never heard anything like it before." They walked on through dense, dark trees. Harry kept looking nervously over his shoulder. He had a nasty feeling they were being watched. He was very glad that he had Hagrid and his crossbow with him. They had just passed a bend in the path where Hermione grabbed Hagrid's arms. "Hagrid, look! Red sparks! The others are in trouble!" "You two wait here," Hagrid shouted. "Stay on the path, and I'll come back for you." They heard him crashing away through the undergrowth, and stood looking at each other, very scared, until they couldn't hear anything but the rustling of leaves around them. "You don't think they've been hurt, do you?" whispered Hermione. "I don't care if Malfoy has, but if something's got to Neville, it's our fault he's here in the first place." The minutes dragged by. Their ears seemed sharper than usual. Harry seemed to be picking up every sigh of the wind, every cracking twig. What was going on? Where were the others? At last, a great crunching noise announced Hagrid's return. Malfoy, Neville, and Fang were with him. Hagrid was fuming. Malfoy, it seemed, had sneaked up behind Neville and grabbed him as a joke. Neville had panicked and sent up the sparks. "You'll be lucky to catch anything now with the racket you two are making." "Right, we're changing groups. Neville, you stay with me and Hermione. Harry, you go with Fang and this idiot." I'm sorry," Hagrid added in a whisper to Harry, "but he'll have a harder time frightening you, and we've got to get this done." So Harry set off into the heart of the forest with Malfoy and Fang. They walked for nearly half an hour, deeper and deeper into the forest, until the path became almost impossible because the trees were so thick. Harry thought the blood seemed to be getting thicker. There were splashes of the roots of a tree, as though the poor creature had been thrashing around in pain close by. Harry could see her clearing ahead through the tangled branches of an ancient oak. "Look," he murmured, holding his arm out to stop Malfoy. Something bright white was gleaming on the ground. They inched closer. It was the unicorn, all right, and it was dead. Harry had never seen anything so beautiful and sad. Its long, slender legs were stuck out at odd angles where it had fallen, and its mane was spread pearly white on the dark leaves. Harry had taken one step toward it when a slithering sound made him freeze where he stood. A bush on the edge of the clearing quivered. Then, out of the shadows, a hooded figure came crawling across the ground like some stalking beast. Harry, Malfoy, and Fang stood transfixed. The cloaked figure reached the unicorn, lowered its head over the wound. The animal sighed and began to drink its blood. "Ah!" Malfoy let out a terrible scream and bolted, and so did Fang. The hooded figure raised its head and looked right at Harry, unicorn blood dribbling down its front. It got to its feet and came swiftly towards Harry, and he couldn't move for fear. Then a pain like he'd never felt before pierced his head. It was as though his scar were on fire. Half blinded, he staggered backward. He heard hooves behind him, galloping, and something jumped clean over Harry, charging at the figure. The pain in Harry's head was so bad he fell to his knees. It took a minute or two to pass. When he looked up, the figure had gone. A centaur was standing over him, not Ronan or Bane. This one looked younger. He had white blonde hair and a palomino body. "Are you all right?" said the centaur, pulling Harry to his feet. "Yes, and thank you. What was that?" The centaur didn't answer. He had astonishingly blue eyes, like pale sapphires. He looked carefully at Harry, his eyes lingering on the scar that stood out, livid on Harry's forehead. "You are the Potter boy," he said. "You had better get back to Hagrid. The fort is not safe at this time, especially for you. Can you ride? It will be quicker this way." "My name is Ferenz," he added, as he lowered himself onto his front legs so that Harry could clamber onto his back. There was a sudden sound of more galloping from the other side of the clearing. Ronan and Bane came bursting through their flanks, sweating. "Ferenz," Bane thundered, "what are you doing? You have a human on your back. Have you no shame? Are you a common mule?" "Do you realize who this is?" said Ferenz. "This is the Potter boy. The quicker he leaves the forest, the better." What have you been telling him? Growled Bane. Remember, friends, we are sworn not to set ourselves against the heavens. Have we not read what is to come of the movements of the planets? Ronan pawed the ground nervously. I'm sure Ferenc thought he was acting for the best, he said in his gloomy voice. Bane kicked his back legs in anger. For the best! What is that to us? Centaurs are concerned with what has been foretold. It is not our business to run around like donkeys after stray humans in our forest. Ferenc suddenly reared on his hind legs in anger so that Harry had to grab the shoulders to say on. Do you not see that unicorn? Ferenc bellowed at Bane. Do you not understand why it was killed? Or have the planets not let you in on that secret? I have set myself against what is lurking in this forest, Bane. Yes, with humans alongside me if I must. And Ferenc whisked around, with Harry clutching on as best he could. They plunged off into the trees, leaving Ronan and Bane behind them.